Okay, Dani, thank you for being our guest at the This Human World Festival 2013. It's the second time that you are in Vienna and that you present a movie. This year it was Numbered, a very touching documentary, and you also screened the movie um, in front of a very young audience, like 1 hour ago. So there were a few school classes, and you did this all your life. You talk to to young people about what you've experienced. Why are you doing this?
Thank you for the pleasure to be invited to Vienna. And I think, in a way, it's a duty from a person who went through this experience and to speak to young people, which they maybe convey that, to the younger generation, the results of the ugly things which being done by the Reich. And this is a pleasant duty. It is a nice audience, and I think I am satisfied.
Yeah, we are too, because what I saw is that after the screening, it was there was silence, total silence in the theater, and then you entered, and they were like, they didn't know how to react when you entered, and then you started talking in your, I have to say, really good German, and they opened up and they started asking questions, and I love to see how they opened up to you, and it's because of the special way you tell your story. And I'm sure all the people who will watch this video want to know what your story is. So I would ask you to give a short biography of yourself.
Yeah. Well, I was born in Lithuania in 1932, 31, 33. I think it's better 32. I was the youngest son in our family. I had a sister. My brother is still with me in Israel, and father and mother. And Lithuania was a paradise. We lived in Kaunas. My father was a timber merchant. My mother worked in the Jewish newspaper, the Yiddish Stimme. We lived near the river. We used to go every summer to the dacha holiday, 3 stations by riverboat. Good school, good kindergarten. I think it was a very good life. I think you certainly find it. Of course, all family been living around, close aunts, uncles. Had my grandparents from my father's side in a little village not far away, but 20 minutes by train. Chanoch is our family, and it's very seldom that such a family name is used because it's Hebrew. So, according to my search, I find out, I cannot give a signature on it, that the origin of the family is in Babylonia. And they began to scholars of the Talmud and Bavli, what do you call it. And then they went down for some reason to Krim. And in Krim, they've been invited by the prince, Vytautas the Great, which was a pagan, to protect them from the Christianity. And he brought Tatars, Jews, and Karaim.
Karaim?
Yeah. Karaim is type of Jews which are just studying by the Bible. Yeah. And everybody was getting a piece of land, and they've been called royal protectors for the Prince Vytautas the Great. That's the reason, and it's very respected in old times, because you're part of the royal blue blood.
You are Blaublut. Yeah.
Of course, it's a lot to say about life in Kovna, about Jewish life, about integration with the culture. Kaunas wasn't a big city, a lot of culture, but they've been preparing us for study in Germany. I had a nanny, her name was Fräulein Hannemann, and she taught me everything. Schör, Messer, Gab und Dichter und kleine Kinder nicht. So reiten die Herren die blanken Himbeeren und weiter. And yeah, that was the part, because naturally study Klavier and the way it should be. And this came to the end of the first stage in 1940, when there was the Ribbentrop-Molotov agreement and Europe was divided, and we became a part of Russia. It wasn't so comfortable, but there was not much to do. Either you could go to Siberia, the borders were closed, Germany from one side, you knew what's going on there. And then for 1 year, the Russians made a huge propaganda, and Stalin was a god, and they be sure that nobody can conquer Stalin. And I think one of the biggest disappointments was that when the Germans marched in with horses, the cars that been hitting it with timber, tank holes, bicycles, the Russians didn't fight them at all. It was like a black cloud, and nobody understood. Of course, later on when we read, we understand that there was some intelligent canaries, the whole thing, and that was the end. Very soon came in the Einsatzkommando with General Karl Jäger. He was in charge of Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, and he gave the right to kill the Jews. So 95% of the Jewish people were vernichted in those days. Mass graves. We have no grave for our family until now. And ghetto, I knew what's going on because I was the only one with the not with a Semitic appearance. I was blonde. So I used to go around the city and get some food because Jewish people used to go with a star. I didn't carry the star. I used to bring food. I used to see. I used to go and see the torturing of the Jewish people. I made a wall. I say, well, which you cannot solve and help. I went into the ghetto, and in the ghetto I was not arbeitsfähig. They tried to chase me and to send me to that place because I was a kid. I escaped definitely from several different deaths. The kinder actions jumped on heads of SS, they shooting at me. My brother saved me in some cases and warned me. And then the ghetto was to the end. It was in the ghetto I used to collect some food, some potato shells, some timber to heat up the house. But I used to hide all the time if they were not coming, the SS or the Gestapo to look for me. In 1944, the ghetto was liquidated, still the whole family. Separated from my mother and sister in Stutthof. Never saw, never knew about them. Then I was taken to Landsberg, which is near Dachau, together with my father and my brother. The Germans detected that there are some children, so they collected 131 children from Kovno. Took us to Dachau for a while. There was an older guy with us, trained us how to march. We arrived to Auschwitz at night, marching like soldiers. So the senior officer on the ramp asked what Marish diesen, lass them durch. Like, they put us in, they gave us the numbers, and we worked in Rollwagen. Our work was to pull wagons and to deliver the goods, the clothing to the lagers of the SS. The only thing we've been allowed, even the pockets on our undisclosed with some food, you could take it. I mean, they just wanted to protect all the food. That was going on until the Jewish holidays. Then they made another selection and took half of us to the gas chambers. We remained 40 guys. 18th of January, we started at March. 40. Snow, no food.
It was which year?
45.
45.
And then we marched a train all the way to Mauthausen. In Mauthausen we stayed for a while, Zeltenlager. Zeltenlager was a horrible place. It was cannibalism over there, was unbelievable. Then we marched to Gunskirchen. Over there was a most horrible thing, corner of hell, liberated 4th of May by the 71st Infantry Division of the United States Army. Then for a while we went around over there, over Wels, Jewish Brigade, the British Army collected us, smuggled the border near Villach, Calviso, just around Italy, Enze, Bologna, and finally we sailed with illegal boat called Yashavet Yud, Palestine, together with my brother. I was not legally there, I smuggled into the boat, came into Palestine, catch with the British, sent to the camp, athlete in Palestine, kept for 2 months, liberated. I looked for a place to go on to study. I found a nice family in the south of Israel, which accepted me, and I worked there, and I went into 6th grade, grammar school. Then I studied in high school, agricultural high school in Israel, which is very famous. Because nobody could pay for me, and my brother was in the Palmach fighting in the War of Independence. So actually the Palmach, you know the Palmach,
yeah.
They paid for my studies, only one. Liberated, the war was over, I finished school, I went to frontier, kibbutz, Neve Eitan in the Jordan Valley. But this time was 15, was terrible there. Knives, Arabs, you name it, very hot area. 56, I decided to expand my knowledge, travel to the States. I took a boat from Amsterdam, the New Amsterdam, I traveled all through Europe. And I came into the States, studied over there, raising early table grapes. Then I had a good time in Los Angeles and Beverly Hills, Dolce Vita, best. And I was like James Dean, riding my convertible in Sunset Boulevard, you name it. Ginny Mansfield, ciao ciao.
I can imagine that. I really can imagine that.
And then I say that the whole beauties of Beverly Hills are leaving alone, and I traveled to Europe back. All the money which I had, I spent for a trip. Went with some car in Brussels, to Bordeaux, to Spain, to Cordelia, across the border, all the way Côte d'Azur, Italy, Yugoslavia, until Turkey. Turkey, I was they are visual.
Yeah.
And then I came into Palestine back to Israel, to my country,
Mm-hmm.
and found this girl, which is outside.
Rachel, love of your life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what everybody thinks.
Yeah. So, Danny, where do you take the strength and the power to talk about what you've experienced in World War II all your life? Where do you take the power and your humor and your the love of life? Because when I met you first, when you came in yesterday through that door at the top kino, you just showed that energy. You know, I can feel the energy and the lust for life you have, and just had to hug you because it's you're such a positive person. Um, After all you've experienced, where do you take the energy from?
Don't you know? Popeye spinach.
But really, how do you do it?
I'm actually a very naive and non-realistic person. Reality is not my part. I'm not a materialistic person. I have everything, but I'm not a materialistic person. I'm an illusion person, and I like to see the nice side of the life. I was always on my own, never worked for somebody. I had the influence of the morning scene with the birds and the sun rays and the sunset. Enjoying life, I think. I was working mainly in Italy, between Verona, Parma, Bologna, Vicenza, living dolce vita over there, with food, with machinery, with business, and still doing almost the same, working, lavorare, making sometimes some movie, giving speeches.
When did you start to talk about your experiences in front of, let's say, schools or groups of people?
First group of people, very surprising, was in a Baptist congregation when I was in the state near Fresno, California, and those the first one who invited me. The Jewish people took them some time until they've been adjusted to hear these things, but step by step, I devoting some time, some preparing material. I'm having these documents with dates, so due to the age and memory is not the best, so be sure that when you follow with the documents, you are correct. I'm very busy around Yom HaShoah, it's high season, no place.
So, were there any negative experiences you may had when you were holding your lectures or speeches in front of schools or whatever?
During traveling with pizza in not many places, but in Sarajevo, where they had many Arab students, they compared us to the Nazis, one of the guys, and
Like the Israelis? Or...
the Israelis.
Uh-huh.
But you can imagine that they settled it in a very basic way, but normally not so much problem. Only for this direction, when in the audience is an Arab, you have always such a question.
Okay, I see. So, everybody who has seen Numbered or Pizza knows that you're full of black humor.
Yeah.
And you're talking about your experience, you're making comments that some people don't know, am I allowed to laugh at it? Or should I just sit there and make a sad face? So the people are very, struggling, am I allowed to laugh or not? So when it comes to your black humor, in Israel and in Europe, how are the reactions to that?
And normally, I think is the whole speech is a package, and it is quite well balanced between the black humor and the accurate information. So therefore, it's being stabilized.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't believe in crying, and I don't cry at all.
Really? Because when I got very emotional after the screening, and when you talked, I don't know if you really looked at the audience. There were a lot of young people crying, and I thought, okay, Ursula, you don't cry. And I was standing there and I started to cry. I had to leave the room for a short while to find myself some tissue, and then I could enter the room again, because the way you talk about it is very close. It's very, you're making funny comments, but still it's the balance between accurate information. You see the horrors, you can feel the horrors, and still I think it's a fair enough way to cope with what you've experienced, how you do it, and I think it's just a great way. And it's a way you don't see that often. You don't see it on TV. You see people crying about it, but you have a special way of coping, and that's what makes you so special for me and for others. I have to say, I really have to say this, and now that we speak, I have to prevent myself from crying again, but I will be very, I'm positive that I don't start to cry right now. I try my best, but yeah, I get very emotional when I'm around you, because for me you are really a hero. Yeah, you are, and not only for me, because you're traveling around and you're talking to young people, and I think that's the point. That's the most important thing, to talk to, especially non-Jewish young people who don't know what happened or are not being taught in school properly, and you are filling the gap. And that's the most important thing a person like you can do. I think it's just wanted to tell you this. And yeah, I have to think about the question now because I'm so emotional. I forgot what I wanted to say, but you devoted your life to getting people the right information about what happened to you and to other people. And you're making a lot of movies. You made Pizza, you made Number, you made several other things. Do you think film is the right medium for you to express yourself?
First of all, writing is difficult. I'm dyslexic.
Okay.
So really, and I think a movie, there are two types of movies: running or collecting dust. And Pizza is running, and Number will run and is running, and there's several other movies which maybe by chance will bring it around and you can see it. And I think a movie is the easiest document you can watch. You can deliver a package, and this can be the best way to introduce some parts. Of course, we're not in history story, but right now I still want to know more things, and I'm very concerned about what will happen to the Jewish nation. So on Sunday normally Rachel goes to study physiotherapy in Jerusalem, and I'm studying in Mount Scopus in the university the demographic of the Jewish nation, and actually nation shrinks. Hitler actually reminded a lot of Jews they are Jews, but it is now like it was in Germany in the Weimar days, and in America especially, and in Europe due to liberalization and marriages, etc. There is no more a Jewish identity except among those traditional black Jews, what you call them, and I'm not a religious person at all.
You mean the Dosim?
No, the whole tribes. I'm not a religious man. I'm against all the religions. I think the religion is the source of all the trouble in the world. If it's Judaism, if it's Islam, if it's Christianity. So I think we have in common, we like food, we like love, we like comfort, and we should devote ourselves that everybody should have as much comfort as possible in his visit on the planet.
Dani, thank you for that great interview and for the pleasure to be able to interview you.
Thank you.
And I hope we will meet again in Israel.
Hoffentlich.
Auf alle Fälle. I will be there in June, as every year, so I will call you and email you, and we have to meet up.
Oh, great. We have a good wine on the roof of my building.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you.
Be sure you make it soon because I'm going to Paradiso.
Now, you don't go to Paradiso before I come, and I tell you, you will turn 120 and we will meet many times before that. Yes, we will. Thank you.
Thank you very much.